The scene opens in the Rokuhira swordsmith workshop, where 15-year-old Chihiro works with his renowned father, Kunishige. They are forging a katana from Tamahagani steel. Though famed for ending the Seitei War, Kunishige is relaxed at home, even chatting with the goldfish he acquired. Each fish holds meaning. Red attracts fortune, black wards off evil, and the tri-colored one is amazing. As Chihiro assists, he learns both the technical skill and responsibility of creating a weapon that can save or take lives. The calm is broken by Togo Shiba, a friend of Kunishige. His banter vividly recalls the family's past, including Kunishige's heroic war deeds. Kunishige reveals that Chihiro's upcoming 15th birthday marks his coming of age and the gateway to greater responsibilities. He shows Chihiro a war-forged katana, a battle relic, and explains that each blade carries moral weight, able to protect the weak or inflict suffering. Despite his uncertainty, Chihiro pledges to honor this duty. The scene then jumps 38 months ahead. Now 18, scarred, Chihiro is in a brutal city ruled by the Korogumi Yakuza. Public executions and hanged bodies attest to their cruelty, while a sorcerer with a flame-marked hand aids the gang. Hardened by loss and legacy, Chihiro boards a train with Shiba toward enemy territory. During the journey, Shiba notes the scar on Chihiro's face, a constant reminder of past violence. They debate the true nature of the Yakuza's alliance with the mysterious Hishaku sorcerers before deciding to investigate. In the city, they see anti-Korogumi activists hanged publicly. Fueled by anger, Chihiro enters the Yakuza base. Inside, chaos erupts as well-armed guards are swiftly overwhelmed by his lethal skills. Leaping onto a table, he draws his wakizashi and his father's final enchanted sword, Enten. With a cry, he unleashes Kuro, imbuing the blade with the black goldfish's essence, then Nishiki, channeling the tri-colored fish's mystique. His strikes decimate the opposition, while Shiba holds back reinforcements. After clearing the guards, Chihiro confronts the Korogumi boss. With Enten at his throat, he demands answers about the Hishaku sorcerers. The boss mutters of their monstrous nature. Unyielding, Chihiro vows to cut their influence and reclaim his father's honor as Shiba frees a captive. This act sparks a fierce rebellion against the forces that have turned the city to despair. Their struggle is a battle for survival and a quest for justice, echoing Kunishige's legacy and the art of swordsmithing. The scene opens. Mr. Shiba unties a victim rescued from a Yakuza den. However, their focus shifts to interrogating a Yakuza boss. Chihiro, brandishing his katana, demands details about a sorcerer group called Hishaku, rumored to have emerged 4 years earlier and linked to witchcraft. Hisaku appears central to unfolding forces. As the boss begins to speak, he transforms. His features warp, and his eyes change. In moments, his head explodes and branches erupt from the carnage. Shiba teleports the captive to safety, leaving a scene of bizarre transformation. The boss's metamorphosis implies that Hishaku implanted a curse to silence mention of their deeds. After the threat, Shiba finds Chihiro unscathed despite his intense confrontation. Yet a quiet moment reveals Chihiro's toll. Exhausted, he accepts Shiba's reassurance and admiration for his growth. Remarkable, given his lack of combat experience 3 years ago. This exchange deepens their bond and sets the stage for personal revelations. The scene shifts into a flashback 3 years earlier. Shiba recalls detecting an anomaly at the Rokuhira workshop, a once-secured site. Rushing there, he finds the workshop and home in ruins, with Chihiro cradling his father, Kunishige Rokuhira. This moment sparks all that follows. In the flashback, we learn Kunishige was a master swordsmith who forged enchanted, significant blades. During a war, he released 6 enchanted katanas to retrieve and safeguard after the conflict. The blades were more than weapons. They embodied his belief that a swordsmith must craft arms resonating with the world's needs. Kunishige instructs his son, urging him to not only make swords, but to grasp their purpose. This lesson is cut short when 3 sorcerers invade, murdering Kunishige and stealing the enchanted blades. Overwhelmed by grief, Chihiro vows retribution. Returning to the present, his battle-worn scars fuel Chihiro's determination. He now wields the formidable 7th enchanted blade. This ancient katana is not merely a tool, but a revered vessel of his father's enduring legacy and ideals. Chihiro carefully unsheathes a portion of the gleaming blade. 3 goldfish appear around the blade, serving as a potent symbol. This striking revelation confirms that the stolen swords remain at large and sets the duo on a determined course to track the blades and confront Hishaku. Chihiro's fierce vow of vengeance transforms into a resolute mission to reclaim what was taken and bring his father's murderers to justice. A Hishaku information wanted poster in Hinao's shop hints at the tangled web of alliances and rivalries in society. A flashback reveals that 3 years earlier, Shiba Togo, a rugged operative and bodyguard, had visited Hinao's shop. He recounted the tragic murder of Kunishige Rokuhira, father of our reserve protagonist, Chihiro Rokuhira. Shiba claimed that the notorious Hishaku group was responsible for Kunishige's death and the theft of his enchanted blades. The witness is a young girl who had slipped into the back room of the shop. Found asleep and murmuring odd phrases like hippos and cell division, she awakens, asking if they are there to protect her. This orphan, Char, possesses a keen memory, despite her vulnerability, and recalls fleeing from an assailant wielding an extraordinary sword. Though initially met with skepticism, her disarming sincerity convinces them of the danger she faces. Later, in a bustling Tokyo eatery, Chihiro and Char share a quiet moment over tempura soba. Chihiro promises her protection while Char admits she needs him as a shield against an imminent threat, describing a mysterious sword adorned with streaming clouds and a possible flame symbol. Suddenly, chaos erupts when a customer slays the restaurant owner with a mundane tool. In the ensuing confusion, a sorcerer appears and, with dramatic flair, summons a Daruma doll that detonates, hurling Chihiro into the street and revealing Char's capture. Barely recovering, Chihiro unsheathes his enchanted blade and prepares to confront the sorcerer, determined to unravel the conspiracy of enchanted blades, sorcery, and criminal intrigue that has upended his life. The scene opens in crisis. Char, a young girl who has witnessed unsettling events, is held captive by a mysterious sorcerer. In response, Chihiro Rokuhira, our stoic protagonist, unsheathes his enchanted katana, an ancient, powerful blade, and assumes a battle stance determined to rescue Char and thwart the sorcerer's plans. This urgency introduces the central conflict and reaffirms Chihiro's role as a protector, echoing themes of legacy and duty. In a dazzling display of martial skill and mystical energy, Chihiro chants Enten to activate his blade's first ability, Kuro, Black. The technique appears as a spirit energy slash, represented by a black goldfish that severs the bindings holding Char. The goldfish symbolizes Chihiro's inner Genryoku, the mystical life force within every human, hinting at the deep connection between sorcery and personal energy that runs through the series. As his attack disrupts the sorcerer's control, his ally, Shiba, teleports Char to safety. Away from the chaos, Shiba explains to a wide-eyed Char that the sorcery they face is powered by Genryoku, the inherent life energy in everyone, and that enchanted blades like Chihiro's can boost this energy to superhuman levels. With Char secure, the confrontation resumes. Frustrated by failure, the sorcerer hurls explosive, Daruma doll-like objects at Chihiro. In response, Chihiro unveils his new ability, Aka, Red, summoning a vivid red goldfish that forms a defensive barrier, absorbing attacks and channeling energy into a counterstrike. Dodging explosive orbs, Chihiro redirects an explosion back at the sorcerer, felling him decisively. After the battle, Chihiro checks on Char and interrogates the defeated sorcerer about his master, the motive behind Char's kidnapping, and the whereabouts of the legendary Cloud Gouger, hinting at a broader conspiracy. The scene opens on a tender note. He now lends Char her spare jacket and verifies the details she previously shared, a reminder that every piece of information matters. Chihiro thanks Hinao, but presses Char for the reasons behind the sorcerer's pursuit, a question she hesitates to answer. Despite the ill-fitting jacket, Char's worry for her safety and the dark forces trailing her takes precedence. Soon, the scene shifts to a cramped car where Chihiro drives and Char rides in the back. Their conversation blends banter with introspection. Char complains of confinement and hunger while Chihiro offers to fetch food, momentarily softening their journey. They stop at Babylonia for sandwiches, at Tanda for ice cream, and at Bloom for a refreshing Coke float, though Chihiro's concern lingers. Away from the car, the tone turns brutal. In an abandoned area, Togo Shiba interrogates a captured sorcerer, Norisaku. With ruthless precision, Shiba breaks Norisaku's foot before extracting a warning about the location of enchanted blades, hinting at consequences beyond punishment. The scene shifts to an eerie setting. In a rest house overlooking the city, a mysterious man relaxes in a bathtub among lifeless bodies and geisha. He learns that the Daruma sorcerer Norisaku failed to secure Char and examines an enchanted blade adorned with a goldfish design. Junichi Sojo, a weapons dealer tied to the underworld and sorcery, appears. Back in the car, Char recalls her mother's urging to live fully when a call from Shiba announces their next target. Junichi Sojo, owner of the enchanted blade Cloud Gouger, figures encircle their vehicle. As Chihiro accelerates, traffic transforms into a vortex of clones, and a chilling voice declares they have located Char, heralding an imminent confrontation. Chihiro and Char find themselves trapped inside a vehicle, quickly encircled by grotesque sorcerer-spawned clones formed from dark, muddy goo. Their relentless assault and eerie appearance set a grim tone while unveiling a deeper plot. An adversary reveals that underworld dealer Junichi Sojo has placed a bounty on Chihiro's enchanted blade and on Char, meant to lure powerful sorcerers and mercenaries. Without hesitation, Chihiro draws his katana and slices through the clinging mass. Yet his blows fail to fall the seemingly invulnerable clones. Forced to confront an enemy that defies ordinary combat, he battles both the physical threat and the weight of his past. Amid the chaos, fleeting flashbacks of tender moments shared with his late father emerge. Memories that starkly contrast with the brutal present and emphasize the personal stakes of the conflict. As steel clashes with sorcery, Chihiro's inner turmoil blends with a fierce duty to protect those he loves. When the onslaught intensifies, a new foe appears with the disturbing power to exploit traumatic memories, forcing Chihiro to relive the crushing grief of his father's death. Simultaneously, a sorcerer targets Char, injuring her leg, yet her wound heals almost instantly, revealing her true nature as the last surviving member of the Kyunagi clan, endowed with miraculous healing and immortality. With his original katana proving ineffective against the regenerating clones, Chihiro unveils a hidden ace, a second enchanted sword. Activating its spirit energy technique, Nishiki, he transforms the battle, cutting through foes with renewed speed and precision. In a breathtaking sequence, he decapitates the mastermind puppeteer, breaking the enemy's control. As the dust settles, he rescues Char, and a quiet gesture, a shared piece of food, deepens their bond, affirming that even in chaos, human compassion prevails. This fierce confrontation not only tests Chihiro's combat skills, but also reaffirms his unyielding spirit. Chihiro, weary from battle, is ambushed by 3 sorcerers. One attacker wields a power that disintegrates flesh and causes bleeding, heightening tension. As Chihiro prepares to fight, a mysterious figure intervenes. Without sorcery, the newcomer, Mr. Azami, dispatches the assailants. He barely notices his injury until a cut on his hand brings pain. This rescue not only saves Chihiro, but also hints at deeper power struggles in a dangerous world. After the fight, Chihiro thanks his savior and questions him. Azami explains he is with the Kamunabi, a group tasked with neutralizing threats, at Cafe Haru Haru. As Chihiro, Char, Hinao, and Shiba gather, intelligence emerges. Azami discloses that an underground auction at Rakuzaichi will feature the sale of the blade Shinuchi. This blade, once linked to Chihiro's father Kunishige Rokuhira, is offered by Junichi Sojo, an elusive figure long on the Kamunabi's blacklist. Sojo's involvement suggests a broader conspiracy, with the auction serving as a trap to expose vulnerabilities in Chihiro's control over his blade. Azami warns that Sojo's power and the schemes of the Hishaku, a dark faction in the sorcery world, pose dangers Chihiro is not ready to face. Azami's intervention brings relief and tension. His pragmatic caution contrasts with Chihiro's determination and reckless ambition. Even as Chihiro vows to attend the auction, Azami insists he is too inexperienced for the challenges ahead, setting up a mentor-protege dynamic for future scenes. This ideological friction raises questions about whether the protective system might also stifle the potential needed to combat chaos. Inside Cafe Haru Haru, a deceptive calm belies the turmoil to come. Chihiro, the resolute swordsman, sits in the back room, lost in thought after Azami warns him to avoid Jinichi Sojo. Meanwhile, he now cleans while Char snoozes peacefully. Central to the scene is Norisaku Madoka, the Daruma user known for his explosive combat dolls. Haunted by regret and rejection, his sister's rebuke over the disgrace of his powers, Norisaku, urged by Shiba, forsakes sorcery for redemption. He plans to reconcile with his estranged family by calling his sister and apologizing to their mother. However, fate intervenes cruelly. As Norisaku climbs into his car, hopeful for change, he finds his sister lifeless in the front seat, while Jinichi Sojo sits in the back. Overwhelmed by despair, Norisaku attempts to end his life by triggering his Daruma doll's explosive power. In a decisive moment, Sojo freezes him, halting the attempt, before the car erupts in a devastating explosion. Soon after, he encounters the younger brother of a sorcerer whose abilities include inducing trauma and tracking brainwaves. Seeking vengeance and hoping Sojo would eliminate Chihiro, the young man stirs dark memories in Sojo, who beheads him in a brutal display of resolve. Later, Sojo arrives at the cafe, unsettling the fragile calm. He now greets him warily as Chihiro, mourning loss, confronts him. Their terse exchange over the blade's history heightens the tension, leading inevitably to a duel. Sojo unleashes Cloud Gugger's power, Mei, hurling Chihiro through a wall. Remarkably, Chihiro emerges unscathed, hinting at extraordinary resilience. Their clash, rich in symbolism, mirrors the struggle between redemption and dark destiny. As the battle intensifies, even slumbering Char awakens, and he now scrambles for cover. The scene opens in a tense atmosphere. In the background, Azami and Shiba Togo speed along in a car, analyzing events. They exchange worried glances over a duel between wielders of enchanted blades, a confrontation unseen since the war. Their discussion hints at massive stakes. The battle could reshape Kunishige Rokuhira's legacy and risk innocent lives. The focus shifts to two central figures. Jinichi Sojo, a fervent admirer of Rokuhira's work, brandishes the Cloud Gouger with fanatic intensity. His techniques, Mei, a lightning assault, and Yui, an ice strike, are unleashed in a relentless onslaught. For Sojo, the blades symbolize destruction and his obsession with embodying Rokuhira's legacy. A turning moment occurs when Sojo escalates his attack with a vicious lightning strike aimed at civilians. In a display of self-sacrifice, Chihiro intercepts the deadly Mei by absorbing the lightning with his body. Though his act spares lives, it leaves him grievously weakened, a testament to his commitment to his father's teachings. The clash of ideals sharpens as Sojo questions why Chihiro chooses a mysterious blade when true mastery demands power and destruction. Despite being battered, Chihiro remains resolute, declaring his purpose is to destroy evil and save the weak. This deepens Sojo's disappointment. As the battle nears its climax, Sojo launches one final attack with the Cloud Gouger, but his Mei technique falters due to cooldown. Seizing the moment, a weakened and determined Chihiro kneels to muster strength for his counterattack, Nishiki, a turning point marking his struggle between destruction and protection. Fates remain intertwined in a storm of ideals. The scene opens in media res with Chihiro Rokuhira, a determined yet weary protagonist locked in a fierce duel against Jinichi Sojo. Chihiro wields his enchanted blade's ability, Nishiki, which shrouds his strikes in dense Genryoku, enhancing his speed and precision despite his exhaustion. As the battle intensifies, Chihiro's fluid, nimble attacks allow him to evade Sojo's jagged icicle thorns, summoned by his signature move, Ketsu. Each maneuver pushes his stamina to the limit, while Sojo taunts him by belittling his lofty ideals and mocking his father's legacy, igniting a deeper fury in Chihiro. Mid-duel, a shocking revelation disrupts the combat. Amid a flurry of strikes, Chihiro notices a speeding car and in its window glimpses a fragment, a child's leg. In that heart-stopping moment, he realizes that Char, someone dear to him, has been abducted. Suddenly, the duel transforms into a desperate rescue mission driven by duty and personal grief. Without hesitation, Chihiro abandons the fight and pursues the vehicle, his blade still humming with Nishiki's energy. As Chihiro races after the car, elite henchmen of the mafia's Kamunabi, figures like Azami and Shiba, launch an ambush. In the ensuing chaos, marked by explosive techniques including Sojo's massive ground-piercing coup, Chihiro is forced to fend off the attackers. Despite managing to extract crucial information from one foe, he learns that the abduction was a calculated diversion. Sojo's men left behind a severed leg as a gruesome token while Char is held captive. Meanwhile, hints emerge that Hinao, tasked with protecting Char, may be critically injured. Overwhelmed by betrayal and horror, Chihiro vows to hunt down and eliminate Sojo at any cost. Exhausted and battered, he collapses, only to be caught by Shiba's unexpected act of compassion. As Sojo escapes in a speeding car with Char, the scene closes on a cliffhanger, leaving Chihiro's promise of retribution echoing in the silence. The stakes could not be higher. Truly epic. The scene opens with Chihiro regaining consciousness in a hospital room, scarred from his brutal encounter with mafia boss Junichi Sojo. Vivid flashbacks, including the gruesome image of Char's severed limb, haunt him, fueling both overwhelming guilt and a fierce determination to save her. At the hospital, Azami and Shiba arrive to check on him. They opt not to transfer him to a more advanced Kamunabi facility, fearing it might expose his true identity, a risk given the deep-seated enmity many Kamunabi harbor toward his father, Kunishige Rokuhira. When Chihiro inquires about Char and fellow captive Hinao, Shiba reports that while Hinao has been stabilized, Char's whereabouts remain unknown, though there is cautious hope that she is still alive. Sojo is not satisfied with merely terrorizing through brute force. He is orchestrating a darker, calculated scheme. Central to this plan is the rare ore Datenseki, a volatile stone ore discovered during the Saite War, capable of unleashing destructive spirit energy if not controlled. Historically, only Kunishige Rokuhira managed to harness this chaotic force to forge the legendary enchanted blades. Lacking that ability, Sojo has resorted to desperate measures, abducting Char. Her genetic heritage as a member of the esteemed Kiyonagi clan is believed to be key in stabilizing Datenseki. In Sojo's high-tech lab, scientists and lackeys subject Char to inhumane experiments, taking samples to replicate the lost art of blade forging. Back at the hospital, Chihiro's anguish over Char is matched by his resolve to make things right. Sensing his determination, Azami announces that a specialized elite force, the Kamunabi, is being mobilized to confront Sojo. This newly formed squad of 5 formidable sorcerers, including one with a mysterious mask, is tasked with neutralizing Sojo's threat, notably his signature Cloud Gouger blade. Despite severe injuries that have left his left arm virtually useless for wielding his enchanted blade, Chihiro insists on joining the mission. The plan is twofold. While the Kamunabi engages Sojo head-on, Chihiro will infiltrate his base to rescue Char. His personal drive, born of guilt and love, becomes the linchpin of this daring strategy. By the scene's end, the scene shifts from despair to tense anticipation. Chihiro formally joins the elite team, marking his commitment to rescuing Char and setting the stage for a broader conflict against Sojo's nefarious operation. His eyes burn with determination as he braces for challenges. The scene, Preparations, Shitaku, unfolds from multiple perspectives. On one front, Kamunabi's elite anti-Cloud Gouger special forces finalize their plans after a strategic discussion with Chihiro, who, despite waking from a hospital stay with a badly injured left arm, shows unwavering determination noticed by companion Shiba, evoking memories of their youth. A timely phone call from the Kamunabi sorcerers sets Chihiro on his next mission. Meanwhile, Junichi Sojo, the formidable mafia boss of the Cloud Gouger, readies himself for battle. In an eerily calm bath, he reflects on Chihiro's revelation that he might be the long-forgotten son of Kunishige Rokuhira, and he ponders the mysterious seventh enchanted blade, a weapon absent from official war records. His contemplation is abruptly interrupted when three men intrude, returning a product once sold by Sojo and claiming it was used in a mission costing their best member's life. The tension escalates as one attacker strikes, but Sojo remains unfazed, dispatching all three in a brutal, gory melee. Afterward, he finishes his bath, dries his hair, and retrieves his Cloud Gouger blade before stepping into the open, aware that Kamunabi forces, led by the determined Ikuto Hagiwara, are already waiting. In the quiet, shadowy corridors, two guards are startled by a mysterious black goldfish-like figure drifting in the air, an ominous harbinger of what is to come. From the darkness, Chihiro Rokuhira emerges. In a flash, he strikes with lethal precision, eliminating two of the three guards and leaving the third in shock. His swift, resourceful assault not only underscores his combat skill despite recent injuries, but also reaffirms his commitment to the Kamunabi's overarching plan. On one side, Sojo, emboldened from his bathhouse encounter, meets a meticulously organized force under Ikuto Hagiwara's command. On the other, Chihiro's daring infiltration of Char's hideout shows his dedication to rescue and defiance of the established order. The scene opens with Sojo surveying his surroundings, aware of 5 elite Kamunabi warriors lying in ambush. He tests his enchanted Cloud Gouger, which channels ice, water, and lightning. Early in the fight, one Kamunabi employs the sorcery Gansui to create a floating platform, transforming the battleground into an arena for aerial maneuvers. In a flashback, Chihiro reminds the team of the blade's properties. Ice offers offensive and defensive benefits, water disorients, and lightning adds lethal force. He warns that they must counter Sojo's signature charge attack that boosts his blade's power. As the battle intensifies, Sojo unleashes a fearsome combination of moves. He begins with his Yui, ice, and Ku, explosion, techniques before transitioning into a full lightning surge. Anticipating this, Chihiro instructs the warriors to let Sojo complete his combo, knowing that a fully charged blade leaves him vulnerable. The turning point comes when Ikuto Hagiwara uses the decisive Jikai technique on the watery arena, disrupting the harmony of water and lightning and exposing Sojo's weakness. With perfect timing, the Kamunabi counterattack as Sojo's blade cools, and their coordinated assault overwhelms him. Meanwhile, Chihiro embarks on a solo mission. Leaving the battle, he infiltrates a secret laboratory where sorcerers guard a captive named Char, a hostage whose plight has long haunted the resistance. In the labyrinthine corridors, Chihiro dispatches guards with moves echoing his father's teachings. After subduing the enemies, he interrogates a guard and learns that Char is held in the basement, protected by powerful sorcerers. The scene shifts to a double-spread page. Junichi Sojo lies defeated, and Chihiro removes his bandages, symbolizing recovery. Though one battle is won, the war continues with the impending rescue of Char and the unfolding mysteries of enchanted blades. Before the conflict begins, Chihiro recalls a crucial lesson from his late father, Kunishige Rokuhira, who taught him that the enchanted blades possess a true realm of power, a force that transcends their 3 basic abilities when wielded with genuine resolve and personal identity. Chihiro and his ally Shiba are now on a mission at Kaburado Castle, enemy Sojo's stronghold. Chihiro's objective is to rescue Char, a captive whose fate weighs on him, while Shiba scouts for hidden threats and clues about the enigmatic Hishaku and Shinuchi. Concealed high above a stairwell leading to the laboratory, where Char is held, Chihiro observes enemy sorcerers, including mohawked fighters and a visor-wearing adversary with an uncanny sense of blood. Suddenly, tension spikes. The visor-clad sorcerer, alerted by the scent of blood from Chihiro's wounded body, rushes down to ambush him. Shiba, hearing the disturbance, readies to help, but more sorcerers emerge from a nearby shed. On the ground, Chihiro draws his enchanted blade, Enten, despite his injuries, and braces against brutal attacks. A plant-like sorcerer with vine-like arms and a heavy-set foe with a steam-propelled fist pummel him while enemies mock his weakened state. Realizing he is outnumbered, Chihiro retreats and uses Enten's Kuro ability to plunge the area into darkness, taking refuge behind a shoji door. Alone and doubtful, he fears he may fail to save Char. In that moment, a flashback of his father's advice, urging him to embrace his own identity, rekindles his determination. Remembering that Enten wields 3 abilities, Nishiki for long-range strikes, Aka for absorption, and Kuro for cloaking and offense, Chihiro channels his resolve into a new technique, Kuro, Shred. A swarm of ethereal black goldfish swirls around his foes, shattering his limits. This groundbreaking breakthrough not only redefines his fighting style, but also firmly affirms his personal growth. Meanwhile, Shiba battles enemy sorcerers near the shed as researchers begin moving Char for further experiments. Every second counts, and Chihiro vows to end Char's suffering and master the true realm of his blade. The scene opens with a flashback to a simpler yet emotionally charged time. In a modest home, young Char shares a meal with her mother. Before they eat, her mother inquires about a recent injury. Although Char assures her that the wound has healed, her mother warns her to keep quiet about her extraordinary healing ability, a caution born from past betrayal. Once, her mother had entrusted her hidden powers to the man she loved, only to be abandoned in terror when he learned the truth. Abruptly, the scene shifts to the brutal present. Chihiro Rokuhira finds himself amid a fierce clash with Sojo's minions. Despite his wounds, he employs an evolved version of his trademark technique. In an awe-inspiring display of ingenuity and raw determination, Chihiro unleashes Kuro, Shred, a barrage of jet-like mini-slashes that, while individually weak, combine to deliver rapid, precise strikes. In a whirlwind of motion, he decapitates a heavily armored sorcerer and seamlessly activates his Nishiki technique to dismantle the remaining guards. His relentless assault is driven not by vengeance, but by an unwavering commitment to save Char. Interwoven with the battle are flashbacks that reveal Char's tragic past. Junichi Sojo, a notorious underworld figure, recounts the grisly fate of the Kiyonagi clan, whose members were rumored to grant immortality when consumed. Amid the massacre, Char's mother, then only 13, survived. Forced to hide her true nature, she bore the weight of her clan's legacy. When her husband discovered her secret powers, he fled in horror, leaving her isolated. Cornered in a prison for brutal experiments, she fought back, stealing keys, slashing guards, and igniting a fire that consumed the facility. Her sacrifice paved the way for Char's escape despite the scars of betrayal and loss. As the battle intensifies, Chihiro eliminates every guard blocking the path to Char. In a final masterful assault, he decapitates his remaining foes. Amid the ruin, he produces a humble sandwich, a symbol of care and normalcy. When Char sees him, tears mix with relief at their reunion. In that poignant moment, the scene unites the ferocity of combat with tender family bonds forged through sacrifice and loss. The scene opens on a somber note as Chihiro emerges from Sojo's laboratory, battered and strained. Carrying a fragile Char on his back, he limps away, a stark reminder of the defensive use of Nishiki's power that left his left hand injured. Char notices the damage, and with a plea, urges him to give it to her. This triggers a flashback to the Kiyonagi clan's unique regenerative ability, where healing arises from the will to overcome pain. Acting on instinct, Char heals Chihiro's hand enough for him to fight on. Soon after, the pair enter a gloomy courtyard where Shiba appears. Aware that danger still looms, the weary Chihiro instructs Shiba to protect Char. A brief exchange, Chihiro confirming his hand's recovery and Char's terse "don't die," sets the stage for the impending clash. Chihiro unsheathes his enchanted blade, Enten, activating its power, while the ethereal Nishiki appears behind him as a shimmering, multicolored goldfish, underscoring his mystical abilities. The scene then shifts to a chaotic battle, where Jinichi Sojo is locked in combat with elite Kamunabi sorcerers. After his attempt to use his blade's mei via a watery medium fails, he harnesses ambient moisture to extend his Yui-generated ice spikes, showcasing his ingenuity as tension mounts and lightning dances across his face. Ikuto Hagiwara and his team spring into action. Kugara transforms his hands into iron-like weapons, while Uzuki and Makoto launch coordinated attacks with energy-infused poles activated by the chant of Jobaku. At the height of the melee, an electrified Sojo summons a surge of lightning with his mei technique. The impact demolishes parts of the battlefield, and in a desperate display, Sojo bites back his prized Cloud Gouger blade. His counterstrike decimates one masked Kamunabi sorcerer and severs Kazane's arm. Back in the courtyard, a regrouped Sojo stands with a Datenseki-filled briefcase, musing on his deepening connection with Cloud Gouger that cloaks him in lightning. Chihiro, though injured, meets his gaze with resolve. Both warriors, their mastery over Nishiki and Mei evolved, face each other with 12 seconds remaining before exhaustion overtakes them. In a moment of mutual understanding, they activate their ultimate techniques, signaling that their brief, explosive rematch is about to begin. Set in a surreal space, merging combat with ritual, the scene opens at a low tea table in an atmosphere of quiet tension. Rather than a simple fight, the warriors exchange dialogue amid symbolic surroundings. Sojo recalls Chihiro mentioning he is Kunishige Rokuhira's son, a link to his father's legacy of swordsmithing and sacred blades. Chihiro rejects any tie between Sojo and his father's ideals, insisting the sword should not serve mass destruction. Sojo defends his view, arguing that using the blade to enforce convictions is legitimate, even if it differs from Chihiro's teachings. The duel is high stakes, with both fighters aware they have only 12 seconds of spirit energy, Genryoku, before their bodies fail. With time critical, Sojo channels his Genryoku, cloaking himself in double intensity to launch a lightning surprise attack. Yet Chihiro's superior speed proves decisive. In a brutal moment, Sojo severs Chihiro's right arm, but Chihiro counters by tapping a hidden power. Cloaked in triple Genryoku, he severs Sojo's left arm. In a final sequence, Chihiro unleashes Nishiki and his ultimate Kuro. Afterward, the scene returns to tea time. Sojo challenges the notion that only Chihiro can understand his father's legacy, suggesting guardianship is open to all. Recalling his father's words, Chihiro sees the duel as necessary to reclaim the moral high ground and redefine his legacy for a better future. After the brutal clash between Chihiro Rokuhira and mafia boss Jinichi Sojo, the aftermath reveals both warriors gravely injured. Chihiro, wielding his new 7th enchanted blade Enten, delivers a decisive strike that shatters Sojo's own weapon, the Cloud Gouger. Bloodied and barely standing, Chihiro is forced to rely on his allies while the desperate Sojo crawls away from the battlefield. In a final, tragic bid for power, Sojo limps to his laboratory within Kaburado Castle. There, he reaches for the mystical Datenseki, a stone that stores raw spiritual energy he hopes to harness. Yet his body cannot withstand the overwhelming surge. The moment he grips the stone, his arm violently explodes. This catastrophic release seals his fate and triggers an explosion that engulfs the castle, erasing the very stronghold from which he sought command. Back on the battlefield, Chihiro survives thanks to the timely intervention of his comrades, Shiba and Char. Shiba stabilizes him while Char desperately attempts to heal his injured arm, though her limited mastery falls short of a full recovery. Chihiro credits her aid as instrumental in his victory, highlighting the personal cost and the recurring theme of sacrifice. The scene then shifts to the cold corridors of Kamunabi headquarters, where leaders assess the battle's damage. They confirm Sojo's death after recovering his remains from the ruins. The meeting is grim. Several elite members have perished, and survivors like Kazane, injured below his shoulder, and Ikuto, who lost his legs. A central topic is the lifelong contract, imprinted in every enchanted blade by Kunishige Rokuhira, binding a blade's full power to its owner until death. With Sojo gone, the broken Cloud Gouger and the mysterious 7th blade, now in Chihiro's possession, unsettle the Kamunabi hierarchy. Alarmed by the dangerous implications, leaders quickly decide to retrieve both blades. They commission their strongest fighter, Hiyuki, empowered to use her Flames and Bones ability to track down and confront Chihiro. The scene ends on a chilling note as Hiyuki's determined smile hints at an impending confrontation and the dawn of a new conflict-ridden arc. On October 7th, Hakuri Sazanami sits in a cafe, lost in memories of his pet praying mantis and the pain of family separation. His introspection is interrupted when he spills his drink and, looking out the window, witnesses a fierce street battle. Chihiro Rokuhira duels Jinichi Sojo. Struck by Chihiro's unwavering resolve and his ability to counter Sojo's deadly Mei lightning strike, Hakuri begins to idolize him as a modern-day samurai. The scene shifts to November 1st, 7 days before the infamous Rakuzaichi auction and 18 days after Sojo's death. Still haunted by that earlier encounter, Hakuri is inspired by Chihiro's heroism and impulsively intervenes to save a girl from a ruthless Yakuza gang. His well-intentioned rescue quickly goes awry. He is captured and brutally beaten. The gang taunts him, accusing him of upending their boss's carefully orchestrated plans regarding the girl. One thug remarks that the girl fits the boss's predatory taste, prompting orders for her recapture. Despite his injuries, Hakuri's inner resolve emerges. He defiantly insults his captors and attempts to unleash his latent sorcery, a family technique known as Isu. As he chants, ominous black shadows flare over his left eye, a sign of his potential magic. Yet his magic fails and he suffers further abuse. At this moment of despair, a goldfish darts past the window, a subtle harbinger of salvation. Moments later, Chihiro bursts in, his decisive presence turning the tide. Employing his swift Kuro technique, he cuts through the Yakuza ranks, sparing only the gang leader for interrogation. During the interrogation, a flashback unfolds through a conversation between Chihiro and his ally, Togo Shiba. Shiba reveals that Jinichi Sojo was merely a puppet. His involvement in the auction of the enchanted blade, Shinuchi, was a cover. Recovered documents expose that Sojo's name was used to hide the true orchestrators, the Hishaku clan. He also notes the anomaly of Sojo's possession of the sacred cloud gouger, hinting at deeper control over the artifacts and the auction. Shiba insists that to reclaim Shinuchi before the auction, Chihiro must first connect with the elusive Sazanami family, which has managed the underground auction for over 2 centuries. Back in the present, as Hakuri summons strength to thank Chihiro, calling him the samurai he has revered, Chihiro asks for his name. Hakuri reveals his surname, Sazanami, the link Chihiro sought. This revelation unites their paths, setting the stage for the next phase of their mission. This scene intensifies the conflict in the Rakuzaichi arc as battles grow fiercer and stakes escalate. Chihiro Rokuhira, still reeling from his legendary father's loss and armed with the enchanted sword Enten, is pushed to his limits. The scene opens with a violent encounter introducing Hiyuki Kagari, a notoriously powerful agent of the Kamunabi. Initially ambiguous in appearance, prompting questions about her gender, Hiyuki is revealed as a formidable female warrior with a striking, unconventional look complete with high-heeled boots and delicate features. She unleashes her signature flame bone technique, a devastating blend of sorcery and physical might that electrifies the battlefield and demonstrates the sheer force the Kamunabi can wield. Amid the chaos, one moment of raw heroism stands out. Hakuri Sazanami, one of Chihiro's trusted allies, selflessly intercepts Hiyuki's flaming assault aimed at Chihiro, taking the full impact on his face. This shocking act of courage not only saves Chihiro, but also reveals Hakuri's latent ability to absorb tremendous damage, underscoring the deep bonds within the group. Stung by the enemy's overwhelming power and the sight of an ally in peril, Chihiro is driven to desperate resolve. Fueled by grief and newfound determination, he boldly launches a direct attack on Kiora, head of the Sazanami clan, who holds the key to locating Shinuchi, another enigmatic, enchanted blade. However, Kyora's imposing strength swiftly repels the assault, leaving Chihiro with a bitter taste of defeat and a reminder of the formidable enemy. Both allies and the audience are left reeling from the display of power and sacrifice. As the scene closes, the fallout is stark. With Hakuri wounded and Chihiro's attempt to extract vital information thwarted, the allies retreat hastily. This failure only hardens their resolve, prompting plans for a coordinated raid on the Rakuzaichi auction, where Shinichi is rumored to be traded. In regrouping, Chihiro confronts not only his own limitations, but also the dark cost of his relentless path. That's chapter 1 to 20 of Kagurabachi. Let us know down in the comments which part is most interesting to you. Let us know which title you want us to recap next. Until next time, see you here on Anigo.